something called as obligation, which is synonymous to liability, you can say. So when you have an obligation, it should be measured. It should be measured. And obligation also, on which there are two different ways of classification we have. One, you call it out as present obligation. The other one is possible obligation. If it were to be a present obligation and where the obligation can be measured, can be measured. Or you can say, you can put it this way, um, can be measured with reasonable amount of certainty, can be measured. The other one is cannot be measured.
Measurable and non-measurable.
Ah, see, can be measured and cannot be measured. So how would an obligation be present and cannot be measured? Okay, I would put it this way. Uh, there was a government while they demitted their office an year before, they made a lot of promises that they will sanction for, or they will provide blanket sanction for unauthorized buildings which were constructed at particular point of time by paying some amount of, by taking up some amount of penalty and give a blanket permission. Correct. So which item was defeated by the opposition, and a new government had just come, and they have issued a lot of notices to all those who have applied for regularization. But the new government had issued it just to counter for or for whatever the previous government had done. But the new government just made only a posture that they will take it up seriously, but they have not seriously handled it, in the sense that if you start doing it, they will be unnecessarily drawing public ear, or you can say unnecessarily unpleasant things might happen. They don't want to become an unpopular government. So therefore, it is on hold. Unofficially, you just don't find anybody enforcing it, but some notices were there. So we have also received such notices. We are not in a position to measure the veracity of the statements made by the government authorities, whether they would demolish, whether the penalty is going to be tripled. See, all that are very much uncertain beyond anybody's comprehension at a point of time. So this could be an obligation. Yes, we have constructed unauthorized building. The last floor, the final floor, we have not taken any permission. And notices have just come, and the law is not very clear about what they should do. And how can I measure? So therefore, and similarly, one more example I can just quote. So an actor can, or because of the drunken driving, he had rammed his car into a median and caused some problems to general public. And he had filed a case against the company for failed brake failure. What is that? He said brake failure. He had his lawyers have sent notice and all that, and this had come in the public domain also. Our company is that particular automobile company. So first and foremost thing, these public figures, they would like to escape by doing something, and you just find the public memory is also very short. But whatever notices that he had issued, our legal counsel had received it, and there was no process on to that. But newspaper report carried that the actor had asked for so much of damages and all that. These are all only newspaper reports, but The legal notice did not contain all those items. So if that be the case, what is it you would do? Firstly, whether it is an obligation or itself, we do not know. So likewise, umpteen cases, you would be finding that it may be prima facie, it may be looking like there is an obligation, but you will not be in a position to measure it. This is one type. So if such be the case, what is the fate for this obligation? So we say normally in these particular cases, you have got to disclose, because once it has just come in the public domain, you just find the general public may have a short memory, but when you find some reporters asking such questions, or when a general public in a meeting, when they ask CO, when they announce a particular plan for expansion and all that, they might be interesting, sir, what has happened to that particular case? You can't be just telling, no, no, I forgotten and all that. So you need to be really alert with all the facts and figures. So we have got to make a disclosure. You can as well tell, yes, in financial statements, we have taken all those items. This is not the right forum to take up. If you want, you can just verify it is there in the public domain. Please go and visit our website. This is what, in a very gentle way, you can ask the person to go to the next question. So we are expected to disclose where you have to see that case against the company not acknowledged as debts. You got to tell only the fact. You don't do tell. You don't have to tell the actor was in a drunken state. See, all that is not beyond your scope. They are beyond your scope. I will not say it that way. They're all beyond your scope, and you don't have to make any comment on that. So you talk about your subject matter. That's it. Only disclose. So if it is a present obligation and when it can be measured, you got to make provision. You have to provide for in the books of accounts, where you got to have provision for warranty, provision for compensation, whatever may be the case, you got to provide. Then you have possible. Possible means it may happen or may not happen.
May not happen.
Where if you ask a question where chances of outflow is remote. You ask this way a negative question. Chances of outflow of resources is remote. Yes and no. Chances of outflow is remote. Even if it were to be that way. See, what do you mean by chances of outflow is remote? Say, 11th batsman coming and hitting double century. Is it more possibility or less possibility? I will not say it is not at all possible.
Lesser probability. Lesser possibility. Yeah.
So chances of that is remote would mean it is more likely it will not happen. Correct? So if that be the case, the reaction for this would be do nothing. The reaction is do nothing. Say, I will give a classic case this way.